The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Everybody, welcome to the 9 Years podcast. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deakins as always, and depending on how efficient I've been, some of you might even be listening to this on Halloween, but in reality it really should be the 1st of November for the majority of you, and the countdown to Christmas is most certainly underway. And I guess as we record, we can safely say that come Christmas Day, Neil Ardley will still be employed as the manager of AFC Wimbledon. Because, yes, we are recording this pretty much hot on the heels of the club statement released by Eric, announced on Tuesday evening. That's basically thrown us off a little bit today, I'm not going to lie. So this week on the podcast we will be talking about the Luton game last week. We'll be looking ahead to the visit of Shrewsbury on Saturday. We'll have all the other bits and pieces, ladies team news and Neil Cox's pairs as well. But we were going to, and we still will do to be fair, looking at 5 things we've come up with our 5 ways or 5 things that the club can do right at this very moment to help ease a little bit of the tension amongst the fan base, try and narrow that disconnect between team and club and fans that is definitely there and growing at the moment. But Eric's sort of got the jump on us by already doing one of those things. Number 1 on our list was to make a statement. We've been asking for it. Lots and lots of fans have been asking for it, for the club to come out publicly and say something about the current situation on the field, and that statement has arrived. Stu, we're going to assume that listeners by now would have read the statement. What are your first impressions of what Eric said?
Yeah, so we've literally only had what I reckon half an hour, 40 minutes to digest this. So yeah, it's kept us on our toes, isn't it? Hey, look, do you know what? We said for ages, didn't we, that we needed something to come out and show what the Dons Trust board and the football club board, because Eric speaks on behalf of both of them. So it's like I said, it's not a vote of confidence, but it might as well be. In all purposes, it's a vote of confidence.
It's a vote of confidence.
It's a very strong vote of confidence. It's basically saying, not even saying you've got a couple of games or we're going to review it. It's basically saying that we're going to give them the window. Because why would you mention it in there? It's interesting. He says we're very confident Neil continues to carry the dressing room with him. So some clubs would normally have they have senior pros within the dressing room that maybe they would talk to. Sometimes in cases, and this is a bit extreme, but Real Madrid, for argument's sake, Sergio Ramos would normally go and speak to the president straight away and have his ear, wouldn't he, and tell him whether the manager is no good or not. I don't know whether I think El Trotter is going in to see Eric and tell him how bad Neil Ardley is and stuff. But you wonder whether Eric has spoken to any senior players, because it's quite an interesting statement to say that they're confident he has the dressing room with him, which some people have questioned whether he has the dressing room on board.
You've mentioned El Trotter there. We must, just so everyone knows and is made aware, that El Trotter is the abbreviated version of his full name, which is Bloody Hell Trotter. Back in the team on Saturday, but we'll come back to that later. I mean, his name was on the team sheet. I'm not sure if he actually played or not, but anyway. There's a lot you said there. You mentioned there that Eric speaks on behalf of both the football club board and the Dons Trust board.
He's put a couple of paragraphs there, hasn't he?
Oh, this is wound me up a little bit here. Hey, look, I should say, but we don't want to be critical, do we? Because we've been asking for a statement and it's come. So as far as that is concerned, I am very happy. The club has come out and has at least put something in the public realm for the fans to be able to read and digest. So that is good. That is positive. I'm sad it took as long as it did, but it's there. So good. However, that doesn't mean I'm entirely happy, because, well, let's start with this Dons Trust board then. There's a sentence in here that makes me die laughing, right? It says the Dons Trust board has, in turn, continued to exercise its role diligently on behalf of the Trust's members by challenging the FCB's, so the football club board's, thinking and analysis. I don't think that's Eric's place to tell us that. It's almost like Eric is patronising his employers a little bit there by sort of patting them on the head and saying, well done, you are doing your job correctly. The people that actually are above me technically in the setup of this club and the ones that I should be answering to, not vice versa. Is that just me? Is that reading too much into it?
No, it's not. It's what we know of Eric, don't we? We know Eric is a very strong chief executive. We know that, and you only have to see sometimes of the high regard he's held in at Don's Trust board meetings when he turns up. Because, let's be honest with you, when Eric turns up to a Don's Trust board meeting, it doesn't really matter who the Don's Trust board's there, because Eric will steal the show, because that's who people want to hear from. So, hey, look, he's a very strong chief executive. Should the Don's Trust board come out with something as well, maybe? I don't know. Are they happy with what's been produced? We have Don's Trust elections coming up, don't we? And you have to say it's a very interesting time to have elections, because I don't think we've ever had elections come up at such a, I won't say critical time, but at such a disappointing time for what's going on the pitch. So it does really, the Don's Trust board at the moment are being scrutinised as to what they're doing in terms of are they on board? Because there's a lot of, it says in one of the statements there, the FCB have kept the Don's Trust board up to date. And also it implies that they're happy with what's happening. We know from, I've raised a point on WebJam recently about what is the stance from the Don's Trust board, and it was sort of said, well, don't really want to say anything really, because whatever we say is a vote of confidence. Well, this is a vote of confidence. In every purpose, it's a vote of confidence, and Eric has delivered it. So, yes, it can come across a little patronising.
It is a vote of confidence. I must say, I've got no problem. Me personally, I know people are still saying, even after Saturday, do you still want Neil Ardley in charge? I'm still happy with Neil Ardley being in charge of this team, and it is. I mean, I pretty much agree with the bullet points there as to why Neil's getting the support. I can't argue with any of those. I'm in agreement with those. I'm glad they've come out and said those. So yeah, but I mean, it's that point you've just raised actually. So looking at those bullet points, we can't add to the squad until January. You've already referenced this. Which do you think that actually does mean though that Neil doesn't? Or sorry, you think that means that Neil does get the January transfer window? Because I'm reading that and thinking the board is saying basically we can't change the squad. The transfer window doesn't open until January, so we're stuck with this group of players. And for me, the subtext is this group of players isn't any good, so we might as well stick with Neil because the players are still working for him. Some people dispute that. I still don't dispute that. I don't think that is a team that's not trying to play for Neil. I just think it's a team that's not very good. And there are certain individuals that it wouldn't matter who the manager is, the way they are. You're not going to noticeably notice any difference. Trotter, as a prime example.
Do you know what? Yeah, I know what you're saying, because it says we can't add to the squad until January, and Neil was the best place to bring out the best from the current squad, which is an interesting statement. I suppose where I'm thinking that nothing's going to happen now is because it also says a second to last paragraph. We're also aware of the financial implications of any decisions. Obviously, if we make a change to the management team, there will be a cost to bear, but it's always best being the case that if we need to make a change, we will. Also, we have always done in the past, we have plans in place to provide the manager with funds to use in a January transfer window. I just don't understand why you'd mention it. Why would you mention a window? You haven't really got to mention it, really. Do you know what I mean? Unless you are planning to hold on. And if you're planning to hold on, is there any proof that replacing a manager in January with a new window is going to do any good? Because if you bring a manager in, you need to bring him in a little bit before the window opens, because a lot of the managers are going to be sniffing around in December time of doing deals ready for January window. Because if we are going to have to make changes, and I think it's quite obvious that we're going to have to do a business in January, we don't want to be doing business on the last week of January. We want to be doing it on the first day it opens. Like New Year's Day, it would be like, Happy New Year, here's our first signing. It really has to be, really, really quick. I'm really confident that they're not going to get rid of Neil. And do you know what? I sort of said a little while ago, if they come out and say that, then I'll respect it. I think you have to respect Eric and his decision making. He's not got too many things wrong if you're looking at it. That's not all of him. I know he's had a lot of support. But if that's what he's saying, then I'll get behind Neil and I'll give the players grief because something, if we're not going to get rid of Neil Harding, there's nothing to suggest we will, then the players will get my grief until they start doing something that really stops them. I want them, we're going to talk about Saturday, but I'm not happy with the efforts being put in. Maybe, I said this to my wife actually, maybe it's a message to the players as well, because sometimes players can get caught in that thing of going, do you know what? There's going to be a manager's change soon. I'm sitting on the bench. Doesn't matter. He's under pressure. Here we go. This actually might be a strong message to the players going, do you know what? Nothing's going to change. So you either back up or you'll see a consequence in January.
Now, before I say my final piece about this statement, I'm going to ask you, you mentioned there about players perhaps wanting a change of manager, maybe thinking they can sit it out until the new manager comes in. There was this thing where Eric's reference to track record of clubs appointing new managers mid-season is at best mixed. And you've done a little bit of research into this subject.
Because as Eric obviously strung this upon us, he obviously must have known we were recording a podcast this evening. I'm
very glad he's done it, by the way, because if he'd have done this tomorrow evening, we'd have been totally screwed. Yeah,
that'd be a lot. Okay, that's our point gone. Yeah, I just had a quick look. Obviously, he's saying that it doesn't show that changing managers mid-season actually makes it any better, and the club still got relegated. So yeah, it's true. So the clubs that got relegated, we're looking at. Well, I'm only going to review 3 of them because the other one doesn't deserve any recognition at all for being a club. So Oldham sacked John Sheridan on the 25th of September when they were bottom of the league. They still finished 21st. Northampton sacked Justin Edinburgh, but I still found this quite interesting when I read it. They sacked him on the 31st of August, which is after the 4th league game. I'm like, wow. They were bottom of the league at the time, and then Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank come in, and they finished 22nd. Interestingly, they were in the bottom 4 for 29 weeks. That's a long time.
Northampton were absolutely rubbish last season, and they beat us 3-1 at Kingsmeadow.
Let's not talk about last season, otherwise that would just strengthen for the argument, would it? To people obviously wanting for a change. And finally, the cash cow that was buried last season. So Lee Clark, you forgot about him, eh? Lee Clark was there until the 30th of October, so around about now. He was there until Halloween. And they were 23rd. Yeah, they still finished bottom. And they were in the bottom 4 for 37 weeks. The only reason I've sort of made reference to being in the bottom 4, I'm a strong believer that the longer you stay in that bottom 4, psychologically, it just becomes really, really difficult to get yourself out of it. Especially if you're more than a win away. So if you're more than 3 points away from the team that's in 20th, it means you've got to put a run together. And when you're in the bottom 4, you're not putting runs together because that's why you're down there. It's one of the things that I'm sort of concerned about in terms of us becoming cut adrift in 23rd place, because thankfully we have a worse team than us, which is, Bradford City. They're absolutely shocking. But of course,
they beat us.
They beat us.
Sorry, did you reference Gillingham there?
Sorry, I didn't mention. Yeah, so Gillingham was the only one that I referenced, anyone that I looked at. So they were 22nd. And they sacked Adrian Pennock on the 25th of September, and they finished in 17th. Had a really good season, didn't they, after that? Rochdale escaped relegation on the final day of the season. They were bottom 4 for 31 weeks of the season. So, again, Rochdale's an argument of if you think about it, Rochdale had the same manager for, 3, 4, 5 years? Up there, and they didn't panic. And they were, like I say, bottom 4 for 31 weeks, survived on the last day of the season. Yes, they had a really good cut run, didn't they? But they had a hell of a... I didn't think they'd get out of the bottom 4 last year, and they proved quite a lot of people wrong. So, what Eric's saying, if I'm being true, he is right. He is right. And it makes you think, doesn't it? If we did get rid now, can we guarantee surviving? Not necessarily.
No, I don't think we do at all. I think we're going down whatever happens, to be honest with you. This team is terrible. Rochdale's a great one, though, to help link me to the next point. Because I was thinking about Rochdale. I was thinking, what do you think Rochdale fans say to their... what do the club and management say to their fans before a ball is kicked in a season? Because I don't think anyone at Rochdale is thinking anything other than surviving at this level is success. And yet somehow a lot of the problems I think we're facing right now still comes down to expectation. I know I banged on about this all last season, so I'm very sorry if you're sick of me saying it. But I think it's very relevant right now because of this statement that's come out. Because this statement that Eric said didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. We all knew that the board was supporting Neil Ardley. Eric made that very clear at the end of last season. Said very similar to what he said in the statement as well, if I recall, at a Don's Trust meeting that he attended. So it's not really said anything. And there's a reason I don't think it's really said much. Is because really, for me, I'd have wanted a bit of a call to arms. I'd have wanted a, look, we're in trouble. We're second bottom of the league. There's lots of negativity around the place. We understand that. We're all disappointed about that. But this is a time when everyone at the club needs to come together and work together and support each other to get out of it. Do you know what I mean? That sort of message. Instead, what we've got is Neil's not going because there's no evidence that anyone could do any better.
Yeah, well, it's the opening paragraph, isn't it? I mean, you're right. There's nothing strong in there. It's factual. It's very much of what their thoughts are. But yeah, when it says the fans are concerned, I know fans are concerned about the recent run of results, which have clearly been disappointing. You won't be surprised to hear the Don's Trust Board and Football Club Board are equally concerned. Disappointing is not really a word that I would say that I've heard too much. A lot stronger than that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but this is the problem, isn't it? Because Eric can't really come out, like I said, with that call to arms, said, look, let's get everyone together and really help us because we're in a bad position. Because there'd be an admission that basically the team isn't very good. Now, pre-season, he came out and said, this is our strongest ever squad. And it all ties into that expectation. What is Rochdale's expectation for the season? Are they coming out with strongest ever squad? Are they coming out with top 10 finish? Are they coming out with, we've just bought a championship level striker? Getting everyone's expectations up and up and up. And then when it comes to a situation like we find ourselves in now, they're kind of stuck. They can't then turn around now and say, actually, do you know what? Considering the budget, considering our attendances, considering this, that, and the other, we're overperforming. They can't say that now because they've set expectations too high to begin with. And that all ties in again with this 4 places above the budget table. Now, I'm furious about this now. You can tell now, can't you? Because I'm starting to rant. I'm furious about this 4 places above where we are in the budget table because that is not an adequate measure of a manager. It's not an adequate, fair target to be set for me. I'll tell you for why. Because we don't know where that position is. We're over a third of the way into the season, and that budget table hasn't materialised yet. It's a guesstimate. It's an estimate. There's nothing concrete to it. Exactly. So if I'm a teacher, I've got a class, and I say to them, right, I want a 5,000-word essay, but I'm only going to wait until you've written 1,500 words before I tell you what I actually expect from it. It's nonsense.
And what it also doesn't tell you is what we may do in the window. So we've been quite fortunate, I think. We're going to benefit from a £75,000 at the FA Cup, and any potential money that's going to come in from the cut run potentially. I don't think that would actually budget for what's spent in the January window. I could be wrong. If someone wants to, because the budget table isn't something that's very easy to get hold of. But I don't know whether it actually includes spending from January, because we all know people put extra money in, and like I say, we're going to benefit from an FA Cup run. We're hopefully going to benefit probably from a sale of a player, because I'll be truthful. I think unless Deji does something amazingly over the next 2 months, I would be trying to get a fee for Deji and get something out of him. He potentially could be one of the changes. He could be a player that you sacrifice, because I'm not saying you're going to spend money, but really he's the most valuable asset. I don't really, can you think of anyone else that we can sell to really fund? No. There's nothing. And, this brings back to a really, Saturday I wouldn't say I was positive before the game, but I was thinking to myself, do you know what, I'm going to go in with an open mind, really see how the team perform. And we were guests of Ian Robinson, who is part of Tempest. They were sponsoring the game on Saturday, and thanks again, Ian, for inviting us along. It was a really good day, apart from the 90 minutes of the game. But he had one of his friends along who's a Nottingham Forest fan, and he went before we went out. He went, it was true, actually, team sheets out. What star players should I be looking for? And it really stumped me. I was thinking, I don't know. I think at the end I said to him, Deji.
James Hansen.
I mentioned Will Nightingale purely for the fact that obviously he was one of our own. But it made me realise, if someone had asked me that last year, I could probably give him five good names, I think. This year couldn't give nothing. And I think that just sort of says it all, doesn't it? So I think, look, we have to fund in the window, we have to fund, we have to sell Deji as early as we can. We should be setting that deal up and fund the Well, basically, we're going to have to reconfigure that whole squad, don't we? We're going to have to knock it all down. We're going to have to do a Greyhound Stadium job. We're going to have to knock the stadium down and rebuild from the foundations.
What foundations? When you said last season you could list players to look out for, yeah, and they've all gone. George Long, Darius Charles, Dean Parrott, Lyle Taylor. There you go. We say it every week. There's your spine of a team last season. We lost them all. Oh well.
Yeah.
Deji, by the way, do you think we get a fee for Deji? I don't think we get. I don't think Ipswich come back in for him in January. Now they've just sacked Paul Hurst. He's gone.
Yeah,
I think we're stuck with him.
I think he is sellable. He's very reduced in what we would get for him, and I think that's something I don't care how many times I go on about it. We made a massive mistake in the window. I'd have got rid in August, and I'm probably being improved right now because I think we didn't have a squad that was actually there, did we? We didn't. We maybe needed a bit more funds just to. Although you could argue you're chucking good money after bad, aren't you? So what would we have done with that money? We don't know, do we? But I was going to say very quickly when you say about messages. One thing that I'm a bit confused about now is that Eric's obviously come out and said it's disappointing and Neil's the best person to do our squad. But we have Simon Bassey coming out after Saturday's defeat against Luton saying that the players are not fit to wear the shirt. Of course, when you go into the change room, when you go into the media room after a game and you're stuck in front of the camera, especially when you're the first team manager doesn't want to speak to the media team, you sometimes maybe come out in raw emotion. But he's come out with that, hasn't he? He's come out and said not fit to wear the shirt. So it's a very strong message. But we're also saying that actually it's only disappointing. Lots of mixed messages coming out at the moment.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about Simon Bassey's post-match discussion. I think you're right as well, by the way, because also what happens is we tend to find ourselves doing a podcast every week, and we got ourselves a little bit wound up, and we start going off on one, and people can get quite upset sometimes with some of the things we say. We don't mean it personally to anyone, by the way.
No, we don't.
We're just ranting about our football club that we're very passionate about.
Yeah, I saw like the more obviously you think about the message that's been put out by Eric, you wonder actually whether Neil Ardley's maybe asked for it, come out and back me, because hey look, I was prepared for Neil Ardley to resign after Saturday's game because the man looks absolutely broken, but he hasn't. So has behind the scenes has Eric been approached by Neil Ardley and said, you know what, I'll stay, but you've got to come out and say something? We know the fans have probably pressured him into that, but has Neil Ardley basically said, you've got to come out and back me? You either back me publicly or, because he surely needs some sort of pick me up because the players not giving out on the pitch at the moment. So, does that give some strength to Neil Ardley to go, do you know what, my employer has come out and said, I'm basically safe, to a certain extent, unless I go on a 20-match unbeaten run. 20-match without a win run. He's got a bit of time. He's got a stay of execution, and does that give him strength? There's so many questions that come out of the message because it's a typical Eric, isn't it? Typical Eric message.
With Neil, so I've been staunch hardly in, and I've said on this week's podcast already, I'm quite happy with the statement. I'm quite happy for the football club board to be backing Neil. I'm more than happy with that. The only caveat to that is, like you say, Saturday afternoon when Neil came out to address the hospitality and read out the team, I thought it's a man that I think is stuck because this is his dream job to be a manager of a football club. He's managing Wimbledon, the club that he grew up with and watched as a kid and played for in the Premier League and what have you. It's his dream job, really. But he didn't half look like a man who didn't want to be there anymore.
No,
you say, he looks beaten up. He looks tired. But I also think he just looks like a man that's looking at his tools. And yes, he has brought them together. Yes, we've had this conversation last week and stuff. But he just looks like a man who's just thinking, I can't do any more with this group of players. No,
and he's picking up injuries as well. Look at the players he's not got for whatever reason. Like he's not got Andy Bartram, hasn't had James Hansen for a good 75% of the season so far. Hasn't had his top goal scorer. His top main man. He's not had him. He's now not got his goalkeeper that he's brought in on loan for whatever reason, loss of form. He's not got Andy Wordsworth because he just can't get fit, and he's got an Achilles injury, and Joe Pigott, top goal scorer on the bench, been a bit sick recently, And finally, Mitchell Pinnock, who, hey, look, I'm beating around the bush. Basically, we just don't know. We think there's an issue. We think Neil Hardy is basically punishing him for whatever reason. There's no other excuse for it. I think the Achilles injury for Anthony Wordsworth is weak because he hasn't played. I'm trying to think the last time he come on. I don't think he started a game, if I can remember properly.
I don't think he has. I think he's slightly unlucky. Apparently, despite all medical advice that he was given, Curry Club on a Thursday night does not heal an Achilles injury.
But what I mean is, like, you're right. The man is the tools he's got are not good enough. But we know Neil Hardy is he likes to wield that authority. This day and age, though, it must be so hard as a manager to punish players, because if he is, and we're going by pure speculation here, but I think we've got, the more you see the squad, the more you see the players are on the bench and not playing, you sort of go, yeah, Joe, what, there is some truth to these rumours. But he's without his best players, or his players he's brought in. So he's even stumped on that. So even the players he wants to, if they were, I'm sure he wants a Pinnock in the team, I'm sure he wants Piggott in the team, I'm sure he wants Wordsworth in the team. He'd want the goalkeeper that he was told he was going to get from Millwall on loan. He wants that goalkeeper in goal, but he hasn't got it. So all the things are going against him. Andy Bartram's just picked up an injury. He's probably no more than 90 minutes away from Kwesi picking up a knock or James Hansen picking up a knock.
And not forgetting John Meads.
And John Meads. Yeah, I've totally forgot about John Meads. And that's the thing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying these are excuses, but, if Neil Hardy now is going to be here till January, well, he's going to have to do something about the situation with Piggott, Pinnock and Wordsworth and that, because he's got to solve that. He's got to have his players on the pitch. He brought them in. He's got to have them on there. If it means, I don't see how much more you punish them. Surely you've got to go to them. You've got to play. You've got to play. You've got to go out there. You've got to do something. If it's not for me, do something so in the window someone comes and pick you up. But you've got to do something. But he's got to be stronger. Maybe he's got to chuck him in for extra training. I'd have chucked him in for the Dorking game, which is obviously, as we're recording it tonight, I'd have chucked him in that. I'd have chucked him in and gone, do you know what? I'm not worried about you training during the day. Come in and play a game at that level. You get a win. Could be embarrassing if you got beat, which we are at the moment, I believe, on the latest scores. But I'd have chucked him in. Sometimes, you've got to, you don't want to flog players because, of course, they might get fatigue. But at the moment, he's got to get some results from somewhere. So do you know what? All this fitness training that he does, the periodisation, the thing that I think we call it, that's rubbish at the moment. Get him playing, get him out there, and he's got to get the best out of him now.
Looking at the squad, I think you're right, and it's very short of options. Summed up, I think, by Anthony Hartigan playing on Saturday. And this is not a criticism of Anthony Hartigan at all. We all wanted him to be in the team. I think came to the Luton game and Neil wanted to play a certain setup to try and combat Luton, and it wasn't a setup that gets the best out of Anthony Hartigan.
No.
And I think he's only there purely because we just didn't have anyone else to fulfil that role. I mean, the defeat to Luton then, it was depressing. It wasn't a great afternoon, was it? Let's be fair, from the time the whistle blew to start the game until the time it ended. We tried to match up, didn't we? We tried to match up with the diamond midfield, which was a bit of a surprise. Luton are technically just have better players. Its bottom line is they have better players. They've got the budget to have better players, of course they do. We tried to match them up. We couldn't. We just didn't have the quality. We tried to, and we seemed to be trying to just play off Hansen, weren't we? We were either trying to play off Hansen back to front really quickly, either into Hansen. Unfortunately, then you're looking for Wagstaff to be the one to play off him. Only happened about once, I think. And then the other opportunity was trying to get Kwesi in behind, trying to turn their back four so they're facing their own goal. Kwesi doesn't have the pace to do that. No,
and there's so many things that were just wrong on. I don't think what he got wrong, but it was just wrong on Saturday in terms of matching up Luton. One thing, Luton have always had a better technically gifted team compared to us, if I'm being true. Well, most times we played them, I think they've had technically better players. But the teams that, we've beaten Luton quite a lot of times. I think that's their first win at Kingsmeadow, I remember.
Yep.
And one thing that we always do, if we're not technically as good as them, we outfight them, we battle. We win our battles, we have 50-50s. We do the things that good old Wimbledon teams we like them to do. But we got beaten up by Luton. Luton won the 50-50s. Every 50-50 they won. So even though, yes, you're right, they've got a bigger budget, they get better players, but they also had better heart. They worked harder. And that's why they won the game, if I'm being honest. They basically they battled us into submission. And in the end, we had no fight left when they got the first goal. But the matching up system, the thing with James Hansen, the thing that I'm struggling at the moment is, and one of the things that really rattled my cage on Saturday was watching, well, actually it was a Saturday, I watched it on Sunday, was watching the goals for the Gillingham game. Because one of the things that really rattled me is that we use James Hansen as target man, but he's a big lump. James Hansen is good if having a ball from diagonal, so if your fullback's playing a diagonal or your goalkeeper's playing a long punt. But actually what he's very good at is if we can get the overlaps and get players down to byline and chuck some balls in from that angle, he's going to win a header all the time and score goals from that. Barry Fuller set an absolute peach up for, was it Eves, isn't it, at Gillingham? I think it was the fourth goal against Bradford. But he got to the byline. Deji can't do that. Deji just isn't, in my opinion, a natural fullback. Perrington doesn't get to them positions, and he can't in the way we're playing, because we're bypassing the midfield, so we're cutting out everybody in the midfield, and then to get any width really is near impossible because your players can't get up around. So it's just, there's so many signs that we just are just forcing it. And finally, Anthony Artigan really felt for him because he couldn't get involved in that game, and Neil Cox was literally he looked like he was going to cry, bless him. I'm not saying he's a youngster, I'm not saying he's weak by any stretch, but you could just imagine Neil Cox has got an arm around him coming off the pitch on Saturday at half time, probably just saying to him, Joe, what? I know we're not playing to the way you want, way you play. Just keep going. And Anthony Hartigan just looked like he was just like, why am I out there? Because he was a passenger, because never once did he get the ball to his feet. Never had a chance to influence the game.
Yeah, there are certain other players that weren't even attempting to influence the game. But we're not going to go down that road again. For the 100th time. I mean, you mentioned it, the goals we conceded. There were a couple of errors in there, weren't there? Let's just get these out of the way. I mean, the first goal was Bassey picked up on it, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Switching off from a throw-in.
He called it right big time as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he's in football and we're not, because I was more bothered by the second goal personally because of the weak challenges that went in, and we lost out on a couple of tackles consecutively that led to the goal. But just talk us through that for that first one.
Well, the first one's a throw, isn't it? But one of the things that Bassey calls out, and I watched it back and I couldn't believe, well, not that I didn't believe him, but yeah, Hartigan, Trotter, Saws all got drawn over to a short throw and have basically not done anything to influence it. They're there, but they're not doing anything. They are literally just watching a player do a bit of skill, basically mugs them off, goes along the touchline, and all of a sudden we're overloaded. He talks about defenders crossing over, doesn't he? So I think basically one went in front, one went back. And once you cross over, you're really not going to be able to pick up your men. But for me, the damage was done the moment we allowed a player to turn off us and go along the touchline. And I don't know about you, but the moment he got in along the touchline, I was just like, pick your pass. But funny enough, if Andy Bartram had done that, I wouldn't have been so confident. And that's not a slight at Andy Bartram, but how many times has he got into the byline and not picked a pass?
It's because there's been no one in the box, probably.
Possibly, because if I'm thinking off the top of my head, Luton had 2-3 in the box at that time.
If not 4.
Yeah, to pick from. So that's your first goal. Of course, we forgot about the penalty. We could have been 3-0.
I did say to you, for starters,
you did.
It's a penalty for me for starters. It's a definite penalty. No arguments there. But I did say to you before we took it, I said, I hope he tries this because he does it so often, and it more in the history has proven that more often than not he will score, but he doesn't score every single time. And Joe McDonnell was switched on. He's done his homework and thought, you know what, I might as well just stand still.
Yeah,
got more of a chance.
And do you know what really annoyed me though? And this is again about battling and not losing battles. What really annoyed me, you might not, I don't know if you saw it, but I was watching Joe McDonnell walk past Danny Hilton, so their paths crossed after. I think Joe McDonnell would knock the ball out or whatever. I'm trying to think now. But basically their paths crossed and Joe McDonnell just gave him a slap on the bottom. I'd have been literally walking right through him and calling him every word under the sun.
We're too nice.
Because blatantly, he's tried to mug off a keeper. He's basically tried to make a keeper look absolutely stupid. in the game, in the game nowadays, it's like if you nutmeg a player and you call it, that's just in the game. That's called the ultimate insult. As a goalkeeper, a forward trying to chip you like that is basically like, I don't think you're any good. I think you're rubbish. I would have not even spoken to him. I wouldn't have tripped him up because Danny Hilton would have fallen over and I'd probably got sent off. But yeah, it's just. But then Danny Hilton's got the arrogance, hasn't he? And it's quite interesting. Nathan Jones said he's not really spoken to it, but then said a line of maybe it wasn't the right time to try that.
Hey, look, the flip side to that with Nathan Jones is I'd argue that perhaps it was exactly the right time because against us it wouldn't really matter. No. He wouldn't have done. He missed it. It wouldn't. They didn't need a second goal. They would have still won the game.
No,
but,
we were at 1-0. We were done.
That's game over.
We were gone, weren't we?
The stadium, yeah.
Second goal, weak tackle by Ron McDonald. Supposed to be apparently known as Concrete Rod. Well, that didn't really show off.
Cracks in that concrete.
Yeah, Joe, it's a 50-50. Go through, take everyone out, but don't lose the 50-50 and ricochet into the run. It's just, but it just, again, when a team's in trouble, down the bottom of the league, the goals you can see, they're just car crashes, the whole lot of them. And that's what they were on Saturday. But, yeah, that's as much we can talk about the game, really. Did we have a chance on, do we have any shots on goal?
No, it was rubbish. It was terrible. Luton were comfortable winners. Luton will be in the top 6, I have no doubt. I hate to do this, but technically, you know what I have to do? I have to say to Luton Town that you have made the list because their home colours technically are orange now and have been for a few years. So although they were in white, and most natural observers wouldn't have batted an eyelid, would they, to see Luton Town playing in white? That's not technically their home kit this season, or their first choice colours. So,
no, you were distraught, weren't you? You were distraught.
Wasn't happy.
I thought it was quite funny. Actually, Joe, I thought it was a white kit. It's lovely. I really liked it. It's really nice kit.
It's the same kit as our one, really. And in terms of the collar and everything like that, I think they've got some extra design on the front or something. But basically, it's the same.
Do you think when we picked out our kit, do you think we forgot to look at the extras part of the catalogue? Do you think like we just went, yeah, we'll have that, and we didn't look at the extras you could add? Because every other club's putting extras on theirs, and we've just gone, well, we'll take it bulk.
I guess so, because there's nothing to our kit, really, is it?
Every other kit that's got a Puma one, and you're right, the same sort of design, just looks like it's so much better than ours, and it's just like, did we forget that, or did we think, if we got extras, we might have to put another £5 on to our kit? I
don't know. Hey, look, when we beat Luton to get promoted out of the conference, that was a promotion-winning kit that we had that season. This is a relegation kit. Just to look at it, it's like I can look in the Premier League and I can look at Premier League kits and think, that's the kit of a team that's not winning the Premier League this season. I know that sounds daft, but sometimes teams just have a look about them and you just think, I can see a team lifting a trophy in that kit. Like Chelsea aren't winning a trophy in that kit this season. However well they're playing at the moment. It's a horrible, awful kit. But anyway, that's by the by. That's why I don't think Liverpool will either, by the way. I'm not a fan of theirs, but, that's a conversation for another time, another place. We should just say then that was our 6th defeat in a row in the league, where Luton October was played 6, lost 6, scored 1 goal, and the assist for that goal goes to a Portsmouth player for slicing a clearance right into Hansen's path. It's the first time we've lost 6 games in a row since 2011-12, so our first season in the Football League under Terry Brown. That was part of a 12-game winless run. So, bad times. However, good times, as you've already mentioned there, Ian Robinson of Tempest Delay Analysis, who very kindly invited us into hospitality for the afternoon. Very enjoyable experience in hospitality. I was sat next to one of his friends who's a Luton fan, so I was happy as Larry. But yes, and we should just say thank you again, Ian. And if you want to check out Ian's company, by the way, which advises and identifies responsibilities in delays to large construction projects, based in Fleet Street, just check them out, tempest-delayanalysis.com. And once again, thank you, Ian. Right, moving on, Stu. We did say at the start, we're looking at 5 things the club can do now to try and improve the current disconnect or unease and tension between fans and supporters, which we may or may not have added to on this podcast. I don't know. We're very sorry if we did. We don't mean to. We're just being honest, aren't we? One of them was to make a statement. We've been through that one. That's sort of been ruined now. They've done that, though. So happy days. Done. Tick. Make a statement. We cannot say, look, hey, look, we've been calling for a statement. We have had a statement. The club have done that. They've said their piece. Happy days. Move on. As you say, Stu, we know that Neil Ardley's not going anywhere. Everyone knows that now. So let's just get behind him now. No point in... Nothing different's going to happen, is it? So that's done. That's good. That's positive. We had some other things. Do you want to go for your suggestion? The last one, when we discussed this earlier, your last suggestion to me, because I think that's the logical next step.
Yeah, so I've been saying for a little while is that, we have a disconnect. There's no doubt about that. We have a disconnect between fans, management, players. I think that's a lot down to when you're on a bad run, is it a right time to really be mixing with, and when I say mixing with fans, I mean, you keep your distance. Of course you do, because are they going to say something? But I think Neil Ardley is excellent. We had to meet the managers at the beginning of the season. He's articulate. He's nothing but honest. And I just feel, do you know what? At the moment, we have such a disconnect. And we see Neil Ardley after a game when he's feeling it. He's feeling troubles because he's got beat again and stuff like that. Let's do a meet the manager. Let's do a meet the manager. I don't know. Organise it for 2 weeks as soon as you can, really. Midweek, invite a selected group of players. I suppose you've got to be careful in them sort of ways, but I would expect the senior pros like Deji, Liam Trotter, Tom Sawers, ones that I think can. What you don't want is an anti-Hartigan, because no matter what we think of the player, he's just not going to probably be confident enough. But he will Nightingale, definitely. And have a genuine question and answer session, run it for an hour and a half, and then literally just do some drinks after the game. And there's obviously some players that will be more at home than others on that. But generally just try and build something. Because the club may say, yeah, but can we trust the fans to behave themselves? No one is going to be outrightly rude. Yes, they're going to be forthright with their opinion, but no one is going to go to Neil Ardley, whatever. They're going to ask some challenging questions, and I'm confident Neil Ardley will be able to answer them articulately, honestly, and I think it would just go a little bit of a way of that reconnect and getting behind Neil Ardley. Now, of course, I appreciate I'm an Ardley in person. I think, the decision's been made. As long as Neil Ardley can basically get his confidence levels up, then I'm happy to support him for January, whatever. But the Ardley out people may not want to do that. But I'm just thinking, do you know what? We've got to do something, and that would be one of the things that I think is a quick win. Get them out, get them in front of people, and let's remember, we're a fans club, and we are, we like to be connected with this team, which we are not anywhere near at the moment.
I want to introduce something to the podcast where if you say some sort of business stock phrase, that you have to put money into a jar. Quick win. Oh, that phrase. Do you know what? When that was first used, when I was sat down, it was many years ago now, but it was when I was teaching, I sat down in a department meeting and someone said, what are our quick wins? And I thought, you're in education. Give it a rest. Like, quick wins? Talking about kids learning, you're using phrases like that. Do you want? But anyway, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that sort of ties into one of the sort of, I guess, of the third on the list, which I was thinking was interview and select players. And obviously not in person, like you're suggesting there, with Neil. And if you do that thing with Neil where you meet the manager, announce it a month in advance. Because sometimes these things in the past, they've been announced at no deadline. You know what I mean? No notice. People have other arrangements. People can't make it, whatever. Give people all opportunity in the world. Give them a month, 5 weeks maybe, to say, this is the date we've picked. Come on down, this venue, at this time. So everyone's got a chance to actually make it.
You're right. The only thing I think you're right in every other situation. I think at this moment, I think a month's too long. I think because it's got to be done sooner rather than, do you know what I mean? Because of the fact we're losing games. And I think we've just got to, I don't see why you couldn't have a couple of these. Well, I'm just having a beginning to see. I don't see why you couldn't have them 2 or 3 times a season where you can then give the month's notice and stuff like that. I think they're very good, especially around Christmas. Open up a club shop. A normal thing, do it 2 weeks before Christmas, open up a club shop, more money. Just a quick win idea off the top of my head. But yeah, and you know what, for players and for this time, for people that can't get it, hey, we can record it, we can send it out live, we can do live questions, we could heavily be involved. We're more than, yes, we can be critical and constructive criticism, but of course we're more than willing to help out the club in any way of building those bridges back a little bit that have been burnt recently.
Yeah, those bridges really need to with the players, because this is the most disconnected a lot of people have felt from a team or a squad of players for forever, pretty much. We've not heard from the players in so long. Will Nightingale, man of the match on Saturday, was reported to have come out with a great, not a speech as such, but he spoke very, very well after the game on Saturday. We need to hear more, because the players have gone into hiding. Like we said, one of the things I said last week on the podcast, Neil's been left a little bit to hang out to dry, really, a little bit, because he's the only one fessing up and taking responsibility. I mean, Eric's come out now and backed him, which is good. But still, players, not heard anything after Saturday from the majority of them. Rod McDonald, don't know who you are, sorry. Purrington, I like Purrington. I think he's a reliable, I think he's a very good professional, I think he's a good player. I think he's not a player that's going to necessarily win you anything, or do you know what I mean, at this level. He's a solid, reliable pro, but who is he? Like, not heard from him.
He's gone into a shell, though. Don't you think he's gone into... He's probably not alone in that, but he walked past me on Saturday. I was actually waiting for my wife to come pick me up. And I was the players coach, seeing Luton players come out, and then a few women players come out. And do you know what? He walked past me, I'd done a double glance, I thought, oh, is that one of our players? Obviously he had a Wimbledon kit on. But it was Purrington, and I suddenly thought, do you know what? You could walk past me and I don't really know who you are. I've not seen you.
But I think Rod McDonald could walk past me. I wouldn't necessarily notice. Watson probably could. Thomas definitely would. Do you know what I mean? There's loads, and this is the problem. So we're saying, we need to hear more from them. No one's going to crucify. Doesn't matter. Just get them on camera. Like we've done this many times before. Get them talking. Get them saying about whatever it is. But also, possibly be a little bit select carefully who you're choosing. No one's going to react badly to a Will Nightingale interview. No one's going to react badly to a Hartigan or a Joe McDonald or an Andy Barcham, your senior pros, your James Hansons. Get them out. Let's hear from them.
I think, do you know what? I think the club media team are in the same boat as what Eric was in terms of the Football Club board. I think they don't know what to put out. So the silence, we said the silence was deafening, and it's been responded to this week by Eric putting a statement out. But I think the club media team have been caught between two, not knowing. How much
say do they have, though, do you think?
I'm not sure.
Whose call is it? Do you think there's a case of people are saying at the club, look, we're going to close ranks and not send anything out particularly?
Yeah, and hey, look, I don't know how closely the social media is monitored. If I was working in a football club, I'd be really keeping an eye on social media, because in this day and age, it's a strong message in terms of what the feel is out there. And of course, we know the keyboard warriors can be very strong in their opinion, but you do tend to get a sense of what's happening out there, what the feeling is, and it's been obvious for weeks that the feeling is that we don't hear nothing. So I think what I would rather look at is the club trying to get some messages out with players, and I appreciate it's difficult. I appreciate that you don't necessarily want to be having people doing games, or we've suggested a few bit with the club recently about doing some stuff that would bring them out in a bit of a different light, and not from the typical media trained questions that everyone does. But I think it would help. We don't want to see them laughing and joking and not like they're caring, but they are human beings equally, and it would just be nice to lighten it away, because they're being kept away. There's been no player interviews now for 3 consecutive games, and even though I don't want them coming out, and I suppose whether I'd listen to them, I don't know, but I would like my captain to come out. I'd like Deji to come out. Even if it's Deji every week, I don't care. He's your captain. We should be hearing about what's happening. What are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I even think, do you know what? Man of the match, film it and stick it out and broadcast it. Like, how many people? So, were you there for Man of the Match?
I was there, but I was outside. I was getting my ear chewed off by a few fans.
Well, that's fair enough. But
who were going, "Why are you still hardly in?" I was having to defend myself, Nick.
Fair enough. But you were around, so you could judge. Yeah. How many people do you think were in the bar?
It wasn't. I've seen it a lot more packed than that. I think it was probably, say, 3/4 full, I reckon.
So what are we saying? We're talking 300 max? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I don't think
200 max? 200?
Yeah, 200 max. Like 150, I reckon.
So you're looking at 3,500 home fans. 200 are hearing that. Your scope is so much wider if you can get that filmed and put out. and more people hearing what Will said. I think that would be beneficial. But
yeah, what I did hear though was how good Pietro was in terms of obviously.
oh yeah, well,
let's send our good wishes to Ivor at this difficult time at the moment. We do send our best personal message to Ivor as well. But Pietro was really, stood in for Ivor really, really well, and I heard a lot of good stuff. So you're right, that could have been videoed and sent out, and hey, we'd have seen Will. I heard bits of what he was saying. Didn't surprise me that Will didn't. He was never going to get a hard time. He's one that will come and front it. From all accounts, he held his hands up and said, "Yeah, wasn't good enough."
Yeah, I mean, we must say with Ivor as well. Yeah, like you say, sending off our best wishes, absolutely. Hey, look, when it comes to everyone on the football club board, by the way, as I keep saying, it's not critical. Like, they work their backsides off, and there's so much work to be done. It just can't. They cannot continue to take on the workloads that they do. It really can't. I just think we've got to the point now where it's just stretched. It's stretched us to breaking point. And yeah, we need to look. We need to look at what can be done in the future, because we basically need more resources, don't we? We need more human resources. In the back office, as it were.
Oh, desperately. And I think moving to Plough Lane, I think it's it's a given that we have to increase our backroom. Well, our office support, even our the football club board. Joe Palmer's come in, and you and I have been fortunate enough to have some meetings with Joe, and he's got some really great ideas, but he can't change everything. One man can't change everything, and he's got his brief since he's come in. He's manic, isn't he? But he can't do it on his own. So yeah, we do need a real big restructuring, but let's get some more people in, and because we're running like a non-league club, we can go back to recruitment and all this stuff. Our backroom staff is not anywhere near the size it should be for a League One club. We are a non-league club playing in a league we shouldn't really be in.
But whilst we're on the subject of football club board, fourth point on our 5 things the club could do now to improve the situation, I think the club needs to come out and clarify certain roles and responsibilities as well, because I've seen a lot of speculation online and in person about what's going on, and people are confused about exactly where the land lies, who's running the club, who's actually in charge, kind of thing. Because we thought Joe Palmer would come in to basically take over the running of the club, and Eric was going to segue into purely stadium issues, wasn't he? Because that's a huge job. It's a huge workload to do the stadium, for which we'll be forever grateful. But then Eric's the one coming out with a statement today, for example. So who's actually, do you know what I mean? Who's Neil answering to? Is it blurred lines? There seems to be blurred lines. So I think it'd just be really handy and really help the people on the board out if they could just put something together which told all us, the fans, the Don's Trust members, exactly who's doing what. And if they have done that, and if that is out there, we need to be directed to where it is, and that comes back to communication again. Because maybe it is out there, but I don't know where it is. I don't know. I couldn't find it. So yeah, that would, I think, help ease a bit of disquiet amongst the fan base as well, maybe.
Disquiet? Is that a word?
Disquiet. Well, it is now. Maybe similarly as well, football staff as well. It's Simon Bassey, our chief scout. Is that his actual official role? I thought he was a coach. Who knows? Just clear some of these things up to end all the speculation. So when people start saying things online and people come back saying, what are you talking about? That's not true. Da, da, da. Well, none of us really know. Let's get some clarification on certain things.
Agree.
And then finally, number 5. I thought you'd like this one, Stu.
I did chuckle.
Hey, look, I have suggested quick win, a little quick fix for them. Offer free coach travel to an away game. I've suggested Peterborough because it's coming up and it's an away game that's midweek. But yeah, just something as a way to say, you know what, we're really sorry. It's been a really disappointing season so far. We'll make it up to you. Here's free travel to this away game. Also, as a big thank you, especially to those fans that have been travelling up and down the country to witness what has been, quite frankly, a horrible season on the pitch so far.
Do you know what? It's a great idea. We're struggling getting people into home games, so I don't know what you can get for away games. True. But I suppose that's your calculated risk, isn't it? Because you're not expecting 2,000 people to go, yeah, I'll have a coach journey. So it will still be your real diehards that want to go to Peterborough. But yeah, I suppose anything. I know, top of my head when you were just saying that, I was thinking, you hear clubs about giving out free drink or something, and I suppose it's probably an opportunity to sort of also say, we lost a game of football on Saturday, but it was a tragic day for the game, wasn't it, in terms of the sad loss of the Leicester chairman. But one of the things that he done was celebrate. One of the great things that I saw him done was his 60th birthday. He gave out free drink. Everyone had a drink on him. Of course, he's got a lot more money than Eric with that. But I suppose it just shows you a gesture, isn't it? It's a gesture.
It's a gesture of goodwill, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where you're coming from. It is. You're saying, you know what? We've got the Wimbledon Brewery on board now, haven't we? They've got a nice logoed pop-up bar. I'm sure they could afford to give everyone, the first, I just off the top of my head, the first 200 people that arrive at King's Meadow on Saturday, have a drink on us for the hardship you've gone through this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, away fans banned from the bar.
Away fans should never be in the bar. That's
I wouldn't say never.
Well, not Pompey fans anyway.
Not Portsmouth, no.
Or Luton.
No. Anyone that's going to sell out the away end, basically, because it's just numbers would dictate. But yeah, just like you say, gesture of goodwill. I thought about many things like you're saying there, like free food or something like that to season ticket holders. Do you know what I realised logistically that's really difficult now?
Yeah.
Like with the books, season ticket books, you could just say present voucher J and get a free pie or something. You can't do that sadly anymore, but yeah, so that's why I thought free coach travel, something like that. But yeah, so there we go. 5 things. We said make a statement, the club have done that. You suggested another mid-season meet the manager. I think that easily doable. Interview and select players on the website or on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is. Facebook live broadcast, whatever it might be. Clarify roles and responsibilities, I think, is a big one. I think that would help out a lot of things if people were fully... Hey, look, when you're fully informed, then people can have a little bit more of a reasoned debate about things. And then finally, a gesture of goodwill, perhaps free coach travel to Peterborough. Could have been to Haringey, but we don't really need coach travel to Haringey, do we? It's in London, for love of God. But anyway, yeah, so there we have it. Stu, we are running late.
Never.
Oh, come on. We are running late.
Oh, but of course, always sounding great.
Always sounding great. Good. So we'll try and keep this as short as possible. Run through Neil Cox's pairs very quickly.
Yes.
This week I've gone for players that have missed penalties for Wimbledon off the back of Hilton's hilarious missed penalty. On Saturday was my inspiration. So nice and easy to start with. The first part of the question is a item of punctuation that indicates excitement used at the end of a sentence.
Excitement?
Or someone shouting or something.
Excitement? I don't know. I use a smiley now.
You use it all the time.
Oh, exclamation mark.
There we go, an exclamation mark. And then the second part is the centre-half who missed the decisive penalty against Wickham in the FA Cup in 2001.
Explanation... Oh, 1 second. Was that Mark Williams?
I don't know, you tell me. You're the one asking the question.
Explanation... That don't go, though. Exclamation Mark Williams, of course it does. Sorry, I forgot his first name. Sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, that never. That's still in orbit. That's still travelling around the universe.
It is indeed. Exclamation Mark Williams.
I do use that a lot. Yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Following on from that. Oh, you're never going to get this. No one. Do you know what? Be honest with us, listeners. If you know the answer to this first half, I'm well impressed. Please let us know. Tweet us at 9YRS Podcast, okay? First half is a New York-born playwright who wrote Long Day's Journey into Night in 1920, I think it was, roughly.
You've obviously realised this season the standard of my general knowledge is pretty, rubbish. And you've asked me...
This is quite specific knowledge, I think. I don't think this falls into the realm of general knowledge, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it just falls into the realm of I haven't got a clue.
Okay, well, the second half is another player that missed a penalty not during the penalty shootout, during the game when we lost to Wickham in 2001. He had a penalty saved during the game, which would have sent us through.
I have a feeling Neil Ardley was... Was it Neil Ardley that am I dreaming that?
Have you got a better answer than Neil Ardley?
Obviously, that wasn't the right answer.
Well, no. Have you got a better... Is that your first answer? Is that your...
Neil Ardley's my gut feeling.
Okay, fine. Right. So, do you have any idea what the first half of the answer is?
Something
Neil Ardley.
Something Neil. Mr. Neil.
I'll give you it. I won't though because it's not right. It's actually Eugene O'Neill Ardley. Eugene O'Neill Ardley.
Cool.
It gets easier for number 3.
I reckon Ray gets that. Ray Armfield gets that, I reckon, all day long.
Well, he'll let us know. Let us know, Ray, if you did. Third one, this is a brand, basically a brand of sugar. People that work in sugar. Very famous brand that do sugar.
I never look at the packaging.
I don't think they do sugar anymore. I might be wrong. Or if they do, they've sold it to someone. Anyway, you'll get it as soon as I tell you the second half. He missed the penalty at home to Milton Keynes last season.
Oh, Lyle Taylor and something. Oh, it is Lyle. It is that, isn't it?
Go on.
I can't think. Well, it's Lyle Taylor, but I can't think of the company name. But it's definitely Lyle. There's definitely something Lyle on it. I can't think what it is. I just tip it out. Into a sugar, a little sugar thing we've got. I don't really look at the sugar thing.
You'll know this as soon as I say it. Tate and Lyle Taylor.
Yeah, I recognise a Lyle bit, but I fancy bringing up Lyle Taylor in a week where we need leaders. Not with pink hair, put it that way. But
I'd still take him with pink hair, to be honest with you.
I'll take him with no hair, but anyway.
Do you know what? I'd get Jess Trimnell, the captain of the ladies' team, in. I genuinely, and people might think that's me taking the mick.
It's not.
Do you know what? Exactly it's really not.
No, exactly.
She would be better in our centre midfield right now. I'd have her in there, definitely.
Yeah, we interviewed her a couple of years ago, didn't we? And you could tell, was she captain at the time? She was captain, yeah. And you could tell why she was a captain. She weren't saying no rubbish of anybody. She actually gave us a hard time in terms of answering questions, didn't she?
She did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice lady, though, and nice to see the ladies are doing well this year.
Yes. Final one, talking about ladies. Wrestling question for those who love the graps. This is a female NXT UK star that was born in New Zealand. You won't know that.
I haven't got a clue. No.
No, I'm a fan of hers, though. I'm a big fan of hers.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Second part was only Wimbledon player to miss a penalty in the playoff final against Luton.
Oh, crikey. Let me just think top of my head.
Let's say he scored quite a lot in the semi-final.
Just clearing my throat. Kai Mohammed, he could hardly walk.
It was indeed Kai Mohammed. So you won't know the first half. It's Dakota Kai Mohammed. So there you go. Dakota Kai.
Oh, I got one. That's quite good.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about Dakota Kai. Right. We need to wrap this up pretty sharpish. Let's go. Let's not look at Shrewsbury just yet. Let's just tidy up some bits and pieces. FA Cup first round tickets went on sale this week. Haringey away. On the online ticket shop, whatever. Perfect. Flew through. I logged on at 10:31, pressed refresh, popped up with my Haringey ticket option. By 10:35, I had my ticket. Happy days.
Yeah, heard good things. I'm not used to it. I must admit, I'm going to watch it on TV. Too cold to go out on a Friday night and watch football. So I'm going to watch it.
Friday is the coldest night of the week?
Well, it's cold, isn't it? It's just midweek, isn't it? And
it's not midweek.
It is. It's Friday.
Friday night. That's not midweek.
True. Yeah, but it's still. What do they call it then? End of week?
The weekend?
Well,
am I just introducing this word into your vocabulary here?
Yeah, it's. Hey, look. I hear good things about the apparently it's supposed to be really easy. I was interested originally to see there was no ballot, but then the club are probably spot on. I don't think we're going to sell out. I've been hearing rumours we got about 1,000 tickets. I don't think we're going to sell that out at all. And but I do think it was sell out though. And Haringey Borough, what a great draw for them, wasn't it? Got a great chance of getting through to the next round.
I am worried.
Yeah, they're 4 divisions. Nice club. Give away 3 season tickets. And their chairman, I think you saw as well, the chairman. Well, their manager said as soon as a game, winnable game, he weren't lying, he weren't taking a mick. And their chairman went, I classed them as the real Wimbledon. Yeah. Enough said for that. Well done.
Elsewhere, Don's Trust elections. 12 candidates for 4 places on the board. The 12 candidates have been announced. I should have the list in front of me. I don't. I could probably try and run off the names. But anyway, the important thing is November the 10th, November the 30th is the window for voting. We feel it's going to be a big one this year. We want as many people voting as possible. If you're not sure if you are still a member of the Don's Trust, you can email membership@thedonstrust.org to check your membership status. it's going to be a big election this year. I think, lots of what tends to happen is when people aren't happy with the way things are going, they tend to get involved. I think that's been proven by the amount of candidates that we've got this time, and we can only hope it's reflected in the voter turnout. Stu, I sort of want to try and list the names of the players, list the names of the candidates. So we've got Anna Kingsley, Anne-Marie Godfrey and Hannah Kitcher. The 4 existing members, which are Matt Breach, Roger Evans, Nigel Higgs and Tim Hillier. That brings us up to 7. Then we've got Luke McKenzie, Rob Crane, Dennis Lowndes, Mark Brewer and James McDonald. I am well impressed. There are your 12 candidates.
You've been researching this. Well done.
I'm well impressed that I've managed to do that.
It's great that we've got and do you know what? From the manifesto, such a diverse bunch of people that are standing. Do you know what I mean? Really, really pleased with that. And I think you're right. I think it's an important time for the Don's Trust Board to have different people on there. Look, we're involved in the Don Trust election, so watch this space. But we're not going to come out and say who our favourites are and stuff like that. I'm just more excited that we've got 12 people when we had the previous year. We didn't have a contested election, which is crazy for our club. So it'll be fun. It's probably, like I said to you at the start of the show, it's probably the best time to have it because there's a lot of opinions out there, isn't it? And if you're a Don's Trust Board member standing, then there's going to be a lot of questions asked of you this one, and I think that's good because it means we get the right people on the board representing us.
Absolutely. Ladies team news is the next item on my agenda. So we've spoke briefly about them. They are doing very well. They're now 3rd in the league following a 4-0 win on the weekend against Denham United. Jordan Hoseli Atkins, Caroline Bisson, Jenny Nagel and Rebecca Sargent, whose name I keep hearing good things about Rebecca Sargent. 4-0 victory. They were the goal scorers. And next up it's Norwich, who are visiting Carl Shulton. Coulston Avenue, isn't it? Carl Shulton ground. 2 o'clock kickoff this Sunday. The 4th of November. So if you can get down there to Carl Shulton for 2 o'clock. Next night on my agenda here, Stu says Matt Harwood stag do.
So Matt Harwood stag. So he is celebrating getting married, 22nd December, which I think that's a Saturday, isn't it, Nick?
Wickham away, Stu. Wickham away.
Shocking. So yeah, he's getting married on the 22nd December to his fiancée Jessica, and congratulations to Jessica. Someone's got to take Matt, haven't they? So no, Matt's a good lad, and he's just like I say, he's having a few drinks at the game on Saturday. So as we know, Matt enjoys his drink. I'm sure he would try and have as much drink as possible to forget anything about what the result is. So just thought we'd say enjoy your stag, mate. Great place to have it, and not long now, mate, until you're married, mate. And enough said.
Enough said. Kings Meadow for your stag do. Watching AFC Wimbledon. Might be spending more time in the bar, I feel.
Yes.
It is a visit of Shrewsbury Town. Very, very quickly, Stu. I'm just going to ask you for a prediction after I tell the listeners that Shrewsbury have won 2, drawn 1 and lost 3 of their last 6 games, although that was some tough games in there, including games against Barnsley, Fleetwood, Sunderland and Accrington. They've yet to win away from home this season. We know what that means. Defeat for us would make it our worst losing run since Egil Olsen was in charge the year we got relegated from the Premier League in 99-2000. That was 8 games that we lost in a row. This would be the 7th. Prediction, scoreline prediction.
Hey, look, I'm not going to say we're going to win because I think it'd be stupid to think we're going to win a game. At the moment, I think we'll probably get a draw. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw I'm going for.
I don't know if I care anymore. What does it matter, Stu? We're getting relegated anyway. 7-5. That's what it's going to be.
What, shots on goal?
No.
maybe just predict that in future. We predict how many corners are going to be. That's more fun, isn't it? That's
more fun, yeah. 7-5 on corners. I'll take that. That sounds a bit of excitement. Attendance prediction 3,700 something.
Hey, look, by according to figures, there was under 3,500 Wimbledon fans in the ground on Saturday, which is concerning when I think Luton are one of the big games in this league, isn't there? So, Yeah, I can't see Shrewsbury bringing many. Yeah, I reckon you do. In terms of actual people in the ground, I reckon you do well to hit 3,500, personally.
And finally, before we sign off, music quiz at the start of the show, 90s theme, as always. Last week it was What's Up by 4 Non-Blondes, which was also the inspiration for the title of last week's show. Thank you very much to Stuart Rolfe at Oldo Growth, M Sturge Boy at Dog with a Bone, Lee Rumble again at Meadow AFCW, and Bella Hahn at BellaHahn1, who all correctly contacted us on Twitter with that. If you recognise the start to this week's show, which was a late change because of the statement being released, then let us know at 9YRS Podcast on Twitter. Don't forget Facebook, we're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/9YRS Podcast, Instagram and all that. 9YRSpodcast.org is our website. That's where you can find us. Otherwise, that is it for this week. Updates from the Shrewsbury game will be on all those social media channels that we have just mentioned. AFC Wimbledon Business Club are going to see the one-woman play Why Don't You Like Me? A Bitter Woman's Journey Through Life with former Oldham Athletic midfielder Andy Ritchie this week. So enjoy that, Business Club members. Thank you very much for joining me, Stu.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
You've already... what do you mean, thank you for having me? You're on every week, Stu.
I know, but it's always nice to be invited.
I don't think I ever invite you, really, do I?
No, you did. I just turned up.
What time? Yeah, what time are we doing it today? Thank you for joining me. You've already alluded to and mentioned it, but we should pass on, of course, our thoughts and best wishes to the family of Glenn Hoddle, to everyone connected with Leicester City Football Club, and also Brighton and Hove Albion as well this week. It was a tragic day for football on Saturday. It certainly does put other things into perspective. But thank you for joining us. Be back here next Thursday. Until then, Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. We will speak to you again next week.
Something about that sound. Static coming through when you lay that needle down. Black vinyl got me in a haze. I'm drifting back into those glory days. They'll sing about girls and cars, sneaking into bars, drunk face fights and battle scars. Lord, how I wish those days were mine. And they'll sing about smoking in the glory days, chasing the ones they got away. Lord, I could spend this whole damn night dreaming about the sweeter times. Lord, you got your high school sweetheart, they're breaking all the rules. They're fogging up their windows and making love.